And good afternoon, everybody. Vasu Vaddiparty here with you on August 2nd, 2020. This is the Make the Money and Run podcast. Charlie O on assignment. We're powered by Stables Media. Download and subscribe to any of the podcasts you get on any of the podcasting sites. We're live on Facebook and YouTube right now. What a weekend. We're all just coming up from air for those of us that follow baseball. Unbelievable weekend, unbelievable Friday, the trading deadline. You can catch us every Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays right here. 3 Eastern on Mondays, noon Eastern on Thursdays, and 1 Eastern on Fridays. Of course, Facebook and YouTube Live. We welcome all your comments. You can get us on all the social media outlets as well. At VParty Sports on Twitter, VParty Sports on Instagram, at MTMAR Podcast on Twitter, MTMAR Podcast at gmail.com. Charlie and I both have Facebook and Instagram pages. Make the Money and Run also has a Facebook page as well, too. What a weekend it was in Major League Baseball. Let's go through the games real quick before we start. The Toronto Blue Jays back in Canada after 2 years, 2019, 2020. 2020, they spent all in Dunedin, Florida. They were unable to go back to Canada at all. Now, this year, they've come back finally after half a year away in 2021. They are hosting the Cleveland Indians. I know it's not thanks to Joe Madden, our colleague up in Canada. Today is not Canada Day. That's July 1st, but it is the first time back that the Toronto Blue Jays are back home at the Rogers Center. They will host the Cleveland Indians. That game goes off in about 8 minutes. That's an early pick for me. The over on the Cleveland-Toronto game, Robbie Ray, Eli Morgan. Robbie Ray, an all-star for Toronto. Eli Morgan, a near 8 ERA for the Indians. The Indians pretty much out of the race right now. So start with that. The Toronto Blue Jays at 255, 9 the total. Robbie Ray, the all-star. Eli Morgan on the mound. Welcome to everybody on Facebook again. Want to see who's here. Tony and Ellen, both on Facebook Live. Thanks to everybody for joining us on Facebook and YouTube as well. In the National League, early games, the Philadelphia and Washington Nationals. How about the Nationals and the Cubs? Boy, did they gut their rosters. They both made trades and cleared their rosters out. When they played on Friday, I posted the lineups of both teams. It was very strange to see all the minor leaguers, all the young players playing for both the Cubs and the Nationals. Philadelphia still struggling. They're very inconsistent. They're 108. Ranger Suarez, who was closing games, is going to be the opener tonight. They did get Kyle Gibson from the Texas Rangers. He pitched well yesterday. They had a big 14-5 win. So Philadelphia trying to stay in the race against Josiah Gray. Josiah Gray, part of the Dodgers-Nationals trade. He pitched last week for the Dodgers. He's a young pitcher, got good stuff. It'll be interesting to see how Washington uses him. Right now, they've got him in the starting rotation. The Milwaukee Brewers, second best team in the National League right now, 225 favorites over the Pittsburgh Pirates. Sorry, Pittsburgh, boy, you're having a rough year. You've got good players, and now you've gutted your team as well, too. Adam Frazier, Ricardo Rodriguez, your closer, various other minor leaguers that you got back in these trades for Frazier. Surprised Brian Reynolds didn't go for Pittsburgh, but he's still there. Eric Lauer, Bryce Wilson pitching for Pittsburgh. He was part of the Rodriguez trade that went from the Pirates to the Braves. Ricardo Rodriguez had 14 saves for the Pirates before the trade on Friday afternoon. On the final National League game, San Francisco Giants, 195 at Arizona. They just took 2 out of 3 from Houston. The best team in the American League right now, or actually after this weekend, tied with the Red Sox for the best record. But those Houston bats, they're scary. 5-2 loss yesterday to the Giants. Anthony DeSclafani goes for the Giants tonight. Taylor Widener, the right-hander for the Arizona Diamondbacks, who's left on Arizona. They still have some guys on Arizona, major league hitters. But no more trade deadline, so you just have to figure out that that's going to be it. Everybody's going to have their roster that they're going to have. Let's go back to the American League real quick. I didn't go over the rest of the games. The Yankees are 255 versus Baltimore. They're at home tonight. Anthony Rizzo's already made an impact. Andrew Heaney, acquired from the Angels on Friday, will go up against Jorge Lopez, 255 and 10 the total. And then what was billed to be a big matchup before the trading deadline, the Seattle Mariners, who had all the pieces going. They were right there behind the A's for the second wild card. Of course, they're in the same division. Tampa Bay with Michael Wacha going up against Chris Flexen tonight. 205 for Tampa Bay, Seattle 9. Tampa Bay 205. Could be inflated a little bit because they just got done sweeping the Boston Red Sox. They went from 1.5 games out to 1.5 games up, and they lead the American League East right now as we get to August 2nd. So very interesting race coming down. We'll get to the standings in a little bit. By the way, 2 games not on the board yet. The Mets and Marlins. The Marlins don't know who's going to start. This was supposed to be one of the starters that got moved. Mets and Marlins. The to be determined for Miami. And then the Angels and Rangers, this was Andrew Heaney's start for the Los Angeles Angels. Instead, they've got to come up with a bullpen by committee today to go up against the Rangers. Both teams are out of the race, so I'm not sure how much that matters from a betting standpoint. So we'll see if there's a line. Also, we'll have a second post on social media with any updates, any picks from Charlie. I'll give you my picks at the end in the world famous yet unsponsored pick segment that comes up. All right, let's get to it here. Let's look at the American League and National League standings as we hit going on here. So let's see where we're at here. The American League East, we talked about the Rangers and the Red Sox and the Rays. Boston 63-44. They are 2 back in the loss column of the Rays. Got swept in Tampa Bay, did Boston. I don't know if they need any more pitching. The bullpen seems a little shaky, but right now Boston not hitting. The Yankees have made some big moves, and all of a sudden they moved up into the race. They're only 6 back. By the way, these parentheses are not games back as you notice them in the newspaper. I don't use the half games. The loss column is the big one there, so they're all whole numbers. The Yankees 6 back of the Rays at 56-48. Toronto 54-48. They're also 6 back as they're both even in the loss column. And then Baltimore, of course, 25 games back. The American League Central, Chicago White Sox have a 9-game lead in the standings, but it's only 7 on the Indians. You can see the games difference. Cleveland's only played 102 games. The White Sox have played 106. So the Indians theoretically have 5 more games to make up. And that's why the loss column is a lot lower than the games behind. 7 back, and then Detroit at 13 back, Kansas City 15 back. And the most disappointed team in baseball has got to be the Minnesota Twins, who had 101 wins last year. 18 games back, 44-62 in the American League Central. So right now, the only thing for the Chicago White Sox is to get some cohesion after the trading deadline, make sure they don't blow it, and they'll be the American League Central winners come to the end, and their odds have moved up after the trading deadline. We'll get to the futures in a second. In the American League West, the Houston Astros coming off their 2 out of 3 losing weekend to the San Francisco Giants, who played well, pitched well. Houston bats are dangerous, but not sold on the Houston Astros pitching. Garcia pitched well for about 4 innings. Chris Bryant had his first home run as a Giant. Darren Ruff had 3 hits for the Giants. What are they going to do with Brandon Belt? It's a tough decision for Gabe Kapler and the San Francisco Giants. But Houston, 64-42. The A's are 5 games back, 60-47. They took 3 out of 4 from the Angels over the weekend. And then the Seattle Mariners, boy, I don't know what to make of the Seattle Mariners. Jerry DiPoto, what are you thinking? You had a chance right there in the wild card. You trade your closer. You trade Rafael Montero, Kendall Graveman, 2 of the leading Houston Astros in your division, the team you're trying to catch, and you get back Joe Smith and Abraham Del Toro, guys that will help you, but they're not guys that are going to be impactful toward the end of the year. 56-50, 8 games back. The Angels are 52-53. They're 11 games back. Shohei Ohtani is still the best show in baseball, but right now their pitching's killing them, and 3 out of 4 to the A's doesn't help them at home, in fact. And then the Rangers, 38-67. We talked about the trading deadline last week. Joey Gallo, Kyle Gibson, both being traded from the Rangers. Gallo to the Yankees, Kyle Gibson to the Phillies. He pitched well yesterday. Gallo has already paid dividends for the New York Yankees from that standpoint. All right, the American League wild card, which is where the races are still going on. Boston is 3 games back at Tampa Bay. The Oakland A's are for first place in the American League East. They have the number 1 seed in the American League wild card. The A's are 3 games back of Boston. They're in the 2nd spot. They would be in right now if the season ended today. But look at the New York Yankees. Everybody buried them 3 weeks ago, including myself, including Charlie. 1 game back in the standings for the 2nd wild card spot. Are the A's have enough to hold off the Yankees? The Toronto Blue Jays also 1 game back for that 2nd spot. Toronto, New York, obviously in the same division in the American League East. The Seattle Mariners, even after the trades, they're only 3 games back. 3 games back of Oakland for 2nd place in the American League West, but 3 games back of Oakland for the 2nd wild card. Don't know if they have enough to catch the Boston Red Sox. They're 6 games back of the Red Sox if somebody wants to take over that number 1 seed and get the home field advantage for the 1-game wild card. By the way, they're going back to 1-game wild cards this year too. The Cleveland Indians are 4 back, 51-51. Probably not going to catch the White Sox, but they're a hot streak away from getting back into it. And they're 4 back of the A's for that 2nd wild card spot. And I do include the Angels in here because they're 6 back of the A's, and they can go hot. They get any pitching right now. I think they don't think that they're in it because they've made trades to get rid of players versus keeping players. 52-53, 6 games back, but the Shohei Ohtani show continues to go. We don't know if Mike Trout's going to get back for the Angels or not. So that's the way the American League wild card looks. In the National League, The East, the New York Mets, no hitting. They had a rough weekend with Cincinnati. They did win 2 out of 3. They look terrible against Vladimir Gutierrez, rookie pitcher for the Reds. They lose 7-1. Marcus Stroman having a great year for the Mets, but the last 2 starts have been very, very bad. 55 and 49 for the Mets. They're 4 up on Philadelphia at 52 and 53. The Phillies had their weekend this weekend with the Pirates. They took 2 out of 3 in Pittsburgh. They're trying to stay in that National League East race. We'll get to the wild cards and show you where they are on the wild cards. Atlanta 52 and 54. They are 5 back in the division standings. They had a tough weekend with Milwaukee. They lost 2 out of 3 to the National League leading Central Brewers. We'll get to them in a second. Washington 49 and 56. They and the Cubs gutted their team. They traded Max Scherzer. They traded Trey Turner. They traded Daniel Hudson. Daniel Hudson, their World Series hero from 2019, the closer. They traded him to the San Diego Padres. 49 and 56. They're 7 back. And then the Miami Marlins, who made some trades last week, 44 and 61. By the way, hope Don Mattingly is feeling better. He contracted contact tracing. Don't know what's going on with the COVID situation in Miami. Remember, they had games last year that were canceled from the beginning of the season. It took them basically 2 weeks to get their season going. A lot of double headers there, but they're 12 back in the National League East of the New York Mets. So you can probably count them out right now, and probably Washington unless they get hot. The National League East, not a great division, not sold on any of the teams. I guess I would have to go with the Mets, but you got to figure out if Jacob deGrom is going to come back for the Mets or not, and that's a big key. And then the Philadelphia Phillies offense, all those guys they have on offense. Hoskins injured now, but Harper, Real Muto, McCutcheon, Alec Boehm even having a good year. Gene Segura, he wakes up out of bed with 3 hits. Didi Gregorius has shown some power for the Phillies right now, but they can't get it going. One day they pitch well, one day they hit well. Yesterday was an aberration as they got 14 runs, and Kyle Gibson pitched well, so he's already paid dividends in the trade from the Texas Rangers. But right now it's the Mets by 4 over the Phillies and 5 over the Braves, 7 over the Nationals, and it's going to be an interesting race. We're at August 2nd. Anything can happen. Moving on to the National League Central, the Milwaukee Brewers, second best team in baseball in the National League right now, 63 and 43. 56 and 50 are the Cincinnati Reds, 7 back. Milwaukee traded for Eduardo Escobar from the Arizona Diamondbacks last week. He's paid dividends. He's already hit a home run. He was part of their big comeback Friday night in Atlanta. By the way, props to Atlanta. Hank Aaron weekend with his former franchises, the Milwaukee Braves and the Atlanta Braves. He saw the old school Braves uniforms. You saw the Brewers pay tribute to Henry Aaron as well, too. What a good weekend it was. The Milwaukee Braves, and then he finished his career, obviously, in Milwaukee for Bud Selig and the Milwaukee Brewers in the late 70s, in the mid to late 70s. But it was Hank Aaron weekend. His widow was there on Sunday. They did all the celebrations. Ken Griffey Jr. was there, the Hank Aaron Invitational for the high school kids, and the top 100 players in high school that were there for this invitational over the weekend, with Ken Griffey Jr. as one of the mentors there for the weekend. So good on Ken Griffey Jr. He's part of the Major League Baseball office as well, too. So 63 and 43 for the Brewers. Their pitching is outstanding. Peralta, Woodruff, Burns. Burns had a tough start on Friday night against the Braves. They ended up winning. Woodruff had a tough start on Saturday. They lost that game. And then yesterday, a 2-1 victory. Charlie Morton, tough luck loser for them. Brett Anderson pitched well for 5 innings. But that Milwaukee bullpen, when you get to the 8th and 9th inning, very devastating with Devin Williams and Josh Hader. Josh Hader, 3 up, 3 down. 95, here it is. See if you can hit it if you can. And if you can't, then we're going home a winner because I'm the 9th inning guy and nobody's going to beat me. 63 and 43. Cincinnati Reds, their pitching is very, very questionable. Gutierrez gave good innings yesterday against the Mets. They're 56 and 50. 7 back in the division. St. Louis Cardinals took 2 out of 3 from the Minnesota Twins over the weekend. They're 9 back. They're a game over 500. Are they in it? Are they out of it? I don't know. They made some trades last week to divulge some of their assets, but they certainly are still in it. From the standpoint of their 9 back, the division's not great. They've got a chance at the wild card. We'll get to the National League wild card in a second, but 53 and 52 with 2 months to go. That town is such a good baseball town. Their fans are outstanding. You just got to believe that there's a little bit more. Goldschmidt and Arenado, 2 veterans. They've got guys that can hit on that team. Their bullpen and some of their starting pitching, even Adam Wainwright leading them at 40 years old, a little suspect, but they're 9 back, St. Louis is, in the loss column. Chicago, we saw what they did last week. They gutted their entire team. Rizzo, Bryant, Baez, all 3. I'm sorry, not Rizzo, Bryant, and Baez, all 3 gone. Each debuted with a home run for their new team. Not Wilson Contreras, Craig Kimbrell goes crosstown. Say that 5 times fast. Craig Kimbrell goes crosstown to the White Sox, something that would have never happened in the past, but he's there, and he's pitching for Tony La Russa and the White Sox. We talked about the American League Central. The White Sox are playing very, very well right now. Chicago, 51-56. They're 13 back in the Central Division. Not going to catch the Milwaukee Brewers. May have a shot at the wild card. Not sure. We'll check the standings in a second. And then Pittsburgh, 22 back, 40-65. Bring up the rear in the National League Central. All right, the most interesting division in baseball. The top 3 teams were garnered to be the top 3 out of 5 teams coming into the year. Nobody thought the San Francisco Giants would be where they are right now, and this is even with injuries. This is even with a questionable pitching staff. They did not go after a starter. They did not get another bullpen guy. They traded for old friend Tony Watson from the Angels to kind of bridge the gap from the 6th to the 8th inning. They're going with Tyler Rogers and Jake McGee to close out the bullpens. 66-39, 2 out of 3 from Houston this weekend. Logan Webb pitched great on Sunday. Friday night, Kevin Gausman pitched okay. Johnny Cueto pitched okay on Saturday as well, too. The San Diego Padres, the Tatis injury, if you haven't seen it, it's the 3rd time he's hurt that shoulder. They're going to have an MRI. He could end up having season-ending surgery, and that could put them out of the thought for the National League West, let alone the wild card. They are the 2nd wild card. As of now, they're 8 games back of the Giants in the loss column. I know it says 6.5. Calm down, everybody. It says 6.5. But as you can see, the Giants have only played 105 games. The Padres have played 108. So the Giants have 3 more games to make up on the Padres as the season winds down, and that's why the number is at 8. Colorado brings up the rear, 21 back, 46-60. They played better. They actually had a good weekend. They won 2 games in San Diego over this last weekend, and they play well at home. So from a futures betting standpoint, the Colorado Rockies have played well. The Arizona Diamondbacks, 33-73, 34 back. Believe it or not, they have major leaguers on that team that can hit. Their pitching is what cost them. Dodgers went in there, beat them 2 out of 3. They lost an extra inning game on Friday night. They end up coming back with big power on Saturday and a 13-0 shutout. First shutout by that big of a difference by the Dodgers in their entire history. So 33-73 for the Diamondbacks, 34 back. Let's hit the National League wild card right now. The Dodgers have a 4-game lead on the Padres for the 1st and 2nd spot. Padres right now 61-47. The Tatis injury is going to hurt. The bullpen's great. Starting pitching still a question mark. Not sold on Blake Snell. Darvish, he'll get to 100 pitches before 5 innings a lot of the times. And now they traded for Daniel Hudson to help out the bullpen, but they were going after Max Scherzer. We'll get to the Scherzer and Trey Turner trade in a second. But right now, without Tatis, it's going to be hard for the Padres to get back into it. The Cincinnati Reds, we talked about them in the National League Central, 56-50, only 3 back of the Padres. Reds should have gotten more bullpen help. They did. They got Michael Givens, a really good hard-throwing sinker, even in that ballpark. He's been very effective for the Reds coming from the Colorado Rockies. Longtime reliever for the Baltimore Orioles is Michael Givens. St. Louis, 53-52, 5 back in the wild card. Difference than 9 back of the Brewers in the National League Central. And I include the Phillies in here, 52-53, 6 back in the wild card for the 2nd spot. They're a week away from getting hot and pitching well for them to dominate the next 2 weeks, and they can move right up there. I think they're better than St. Louis. They're more inconsistent. They're probably better than Cincinnati. They're more inconsistent. You get the theme here. The Atlanta Braves losing 2 out of 3 to Milwaukee didn't help their chances. They didn't really do much. They added Richard Rodriguez from the Pittsburgh Pirates. They've already got Will Smith as a closer, but I think they should move Rodriguez in as a closer. 14 for 14 with the Pirates this year in save opportunities. He's already pitched in 2 games and has only given up 1 hit. The White Sox and the Nationals, we talked about the trades they made last week. It's probably fool's gold to probably include them in here. 51-56, 49-56, both 9 games back in the loss column. So that's what's going on in the National League wild card. Talk about the trading deadline. We'll get to the trading deadline. We'll get to all the action in Major League Baseball for this past weekend, all the trading deadline. We got some numbers for you on the entire trade scenario. Remember, only 1 trading deadline this year in Major League Baseball. Thanks to everybody on Facebook Live. Hey, Dino. How are you? Thanks, man. I appreciate it. You know baseball, man. Well, at least I fake it pretty well, so I appreciate it. Thanks, Dino, very much for watching. Facebook and YouTube is where you can catch us. If you miss any of the broadcast, you can download, subscribe. Anywhere you get your podcast, just look for that logo up in the right-hand corner. Make the money and run. Coming up, the next segment, we'll talk about the baseball trading deadline, and down the line, our baseball pick segment, actually, with that's world famous, but yet unsponsored. And then we'll mention a little college football here as Texas and Oklahoma made some news last week in the Big 12 and SEC. Back in 30 seconds, Vasu Vaddiparty on a solo act. Charlie O on assignment. He'll be back Thursday with us. We'll dissect it all down. The NBA draft happened last week. Anybody watching the Olympics at all as well, too? I watched the American women play last night. They look like they're on a run for a fifth straight gold medal. The men play tonight, 12:40 a.m. Eastern, or actually tomorrow morning, I guess, if you're on the East Coast, 9:40 tonight. The best matchup of the whole tournament against Spain. That'll be at 9:40 on the West Coast tonight. Back in 30 seconds, Vasu Vaddiparty here for the Make the Money and Run podcast on Facebook and YouTube Live. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Make the Money and Run podcast. Vasu Vaddiparty on a solo act on Monday, August 2nd, 2021. Thanks to everybody on Facebook Live. Appreciate Taylor, Frank, Tony, Ellen. Thanks to Dino for his comments as well, too. Thanks to everybody for joining us on Facebook and YouTube Live. We're powered by Stables Media. You can catch us every Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays right here live, and then you can download and subscribe if you miss any of the broadcasts, including the world-famous yet unsponsored pick segment that we have at the end of each show. You can get to that as well anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Google, iHeart, Spotify, SoundCloud, generally the best ones to get those. The most notifications I'm getting, the most hits I'm getting from those podcasting outlets. So feel free to do that. Please send us any comments, any topics you want us to talk about. You can do it online at Facebook and Instagram, on Twitter at VParty Sports, on Instagram, VParty Sports, MTMAR Podcast on Twitter, at mtmarpodcast at gmail.com if you want us to answer any questions about games or teams. Facebook and Instagram for both myself and Charlie. And then on Facebook, we have a Make the Money and Run page as well. The NBA draft happened last week. We'll get to the NCAA football. Texas and Oklahoma made some news. Of course, as I said, Major League Baseball had a big weekend this last weekend. The trade deadline ended up last Friday at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock on the Pacific. Lots of trades taking place. We got some numbers to break it down thanks to our friends at MLB Network. Let's go through the games again. The Toronto Blue Jays and Cleveland Indians have already started. That was my first pick on the over on Toronto and Cleveland, over 9. The game is scoreless in the bottom of the first inning. The Indians went, they got a double and a single, but could not get a run in, so that's not good for the over. No score bottom of the first as Eli Morgan, a 7.5 ERA against the All-Star for Toronto, Robbie Ray, the total 9. Yankees have Andrew Heaney. They just acquired him from the Angels. 255 the favorite. Baltimore 10 the total. Jorge Lopez pitching for Baltimore tonight. And then the other game that's on the board in the American League, the Tampa Bay Rays minus 205 with Michael Wacha. Chris Flexen having a good year, actually not his rookie year, but he took a year off and went to Korea to play. Found a split finger changeup, brought it back to the United States. Has been very successful. 9-4, 9-5 now for Seattle. And Michael Wacha, the former St. Louis Cardinal, is right there with them. Tampa Bay in first place after sweeping the Red Sox this weekend. They're up by 2 in the American League East on the Rays. All right, let's go to the National League games tonight. Philadelphia Phillies, the most inconsistent National League team right now. Minus 108, 8.5 the total. Ranger Suarez, Josiah Gray, he was in the trade for Max Scherzer and Trey Turner, part of the haul that Washington got back. We'll see how it goes from there, but right now, the Washington Nationals struggling. The only guy they didn't trade was Juan Soto. Surprising they traded Trey Turner, a young guy. I know the Padres were interested in Scherzer, and they were trying to get Trey Turner as well, too. Trey Turner actually got drafted by the Nationals way back when. The Milwaukee Brewers, second best record in the National League, 225. Eric Lauer against Bryce Wilson. Bryce Wilson in the trade from the Pittsburgh Pirates of Richard Rodriguez. Rodriguez goes to the Braves. Braves still think they have a shot at the wild card. So they get another reliever to help that bullpen out. Will Smith's had a tough year, and some of the other bullpen guys they've had have been less than subpar. Desclafini and Widener, San Francisco, nearly a 2-1 favorite at Arizona. They just beat Houston 2 out of 3 over the weekend at home. Chris Bryant, obviously the trade on Friday, helped he hit a home run in his debut on Sunday, second at bat, a line drive to left field. He's hit a lot of those at Oracle Park, and yesterday was a perfect day for him to hit. Thanks to everybody on Facebook Live. Hi, Lori. How are you? Yeah, I know. I feel so bad for the Cubs fans and the Nationals fans. They sold your team, and you don't recognize anybody on there. I know. It's too bad. But thanks for watching on Facebook or YouTube Live. We appreciate it. You can always download, subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. Let's move on here. Let's get to the trade deadline, the winners and losers of the trade deadline. I'm sure everybody has their opinion of it. The Giants fans out here where I live in the Bay Area, they think that they didn't do enough at first, but then Farhan made the last second trade to get Chris Bryant, traded minor leaguers to go back. Joey Bart, the big minor league stud, did not get traded, even though the Giants have a lot of catching prospects. And of course, Buster Posey, a rejuvenated year. The real trade value for the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Washington Nationals is Trey Turner. You're saying, but you got Max Scherzer, of course. And I'm a Dodgers fan, I admit it, but I understand reality. Max Scherzer, great pitcher. The Giants fans should be happy, and a lot of the National League West should be happy. They don't face the National League West very many more times. The Giants and Dodgers are only going to play 3 more times, and that's going to be right around Labor Day weekend. So if anything, they're only going to get Max Scherzer once. If he ended up going to the Padres, they were going to play the Padres 10 more times. So Max Scherzer, not that big of an impact. But the Dodgers have leverage on Corey Seager if he decides to walk at the end of the year. Right now, they're going to play Trey Turner at second base. He came up as a second baseman. He actually turns that double play really well. I remember when he was a kid playing for the Nationals when they still had Ian Desmond at shortstop. Trey Turner is an outstanding defensive player, outstanding second baseman, and offensively, he has really turned it around. So he's going to move him at second base. The biggest thing the Dodgers did not have in letting some of these guys go in free agency was that they didn't have the depth. The Giants haven't had great years. I haven't had great years from a lot of people, but they've had a great year overall. It's because of their depth. And the Dodgers are trying to pull themselves back into the depth, and Trey Turner into the lineup will allow Muncy to move around back to first. Bellinger can go back to the outfield. Mookie Betts does not have to play second base like he did yesterday in Arizona. He can go to the outfield. And Chris Taylor can play everywhere. He can play left. He can play center. He can play right. He can play third. He can play short. He can play second. I've seen him at first base. The only position he doesn't play is catcher. So the trade of Trey Turner to me is more valuable. On top of that, Trey Turner is going to be here for 2 more years. So Corey Seager, what are you going to do? You're going to stay or you're going to go? You've got a chance to win a world championship. And by the way, with everybody on there now, the depth that's there, you got to believe that they're going to be moving up in the MLB futures market as far as World Series goes. On Facebook, thanks, Lori. I appreciate that for the sympathy epitaph. Well, as they said, for 106 years, you have your world championship. It took 108 years. Hopefully, it doesn't take another 108. And you got your World Series with the guys that were there. So I guess you just have to go with it for right now. At least you have that to hang your hat on, and you can go with that. All right, so Trey Turner with the Dodgers. Turner has 2 more years. Championship teams need depth, and the depth in L.A. vastly improved their depth. So let's move on to other trades that took place. Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, Javier Baez, as our friend Lori in Chicago says, they sold all the teams. That doesn't even include Craig Kimbrell and Jock Peterson 3 weeks ago. They all homer in their debuts with a new team. Rizzo for the Yankees, Baez for the Mets, Chris Bryant yesterday for the Giants in San Francisco. The Giants fans welcomed him big time. Craig Kimbrell for the crosstown rival Chicago White Sox has thrown 2 shutout innings, and Jock Peterson in the 16 games since he's been with the Braves is hitting 300. And you know what? Good for Jock Peterson. When he was here with the Dodgers, he was pull happy, and a lot of the analytics and sabermetrics said the other way. The biggest asset that Jock Peterson has in Atlanta right now is he's got Freddie Freeman there. Nobody goes the other way with power better in Major League Baseball today than Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman is showing everybody that there are base hits in left field, and he had 3 hits yesterday. Jock Peterson's starting to go the other way as well, too, hitting 300. And that speed, he should be a 270, 280 hitter. And the stupid power that he has, he showed it with the Dodgers. He showed it in the home run derby. He won a home run derby. In fact, he beat Albert Pujols a few years ago to win the home run derby title. So we know he's got powers. All right, the trade deadline. How about this? The last 3 days of the trade deadline. Remember, there's only one trade deadline, July 28th to July 30th. 42 trades were taking place. 42 trades. There are some years where you get single digits. 42 trades. 114 players traded. And here's the biggest thing on it. I've never seen this. I have never seen this, and I'm not sure if anybody else has. Please comment to me if you have. All 30 teams were involved in the trading deadline. Everybody, first to fifth in all 6 divisions, all 30 teams were involved. Unbelievable. So that's just some of the things that some of the things that have been happening, but all 30 teams involved. The July 20th to 38th period of the trade deadline. Here's how it's broken down. Thanks to our friends at MLB Network. In fact, I didn't have enough room on here, so I'll give you the entire details right here. But right now, the trade deadline, 20 former and current All-Stars were part of the trades, 4 Silver Slugger Awards, 5 Gold Glovers, 1 MVP, that's Chris Bryant, 1 Cy Young, that's Max Scherzer, and 4 top 100 prospects going back the other way. That is unheard of in baseball. The collective bargaining agreement is taking place at the end of the year this year. They're going back to 1 wild card. They'll make some changes in the new rules. The runner on second and the 7-inning doubleheaders look like they're going away, but that's a collective bargaining agreement deal, and that goes from there. But for 100 top prospects, they wanted to get all this out because they don't know what the money situation is going to be, revenue sharing, everything that goes into a collective bargaining agreement. That's not for me to say. That's not what we're here for to talk about. But 5 Gold Gloves, 1 MVP, 1 Cy Young, 4 top 100 prospects, 20 former and current All-Stars, 4 Silver Sluggers, 42 trades, 114 players. Of the 114, you've got 24, 29, 31, about 31 players being traded, and then 4 of the top 100 prospects. So a lot of value in the below 100 prospects. Some of those teams will come out and make some money as well, too. No strike. They're not going to endanger themselves in baseball, Lori. There's no strike that's going to take place. Both sides understand what baseball is to it. Hi, David. How are you? Taylor, Frank, Tony, Ellen on Facebook. Catch us on YouTube as well. Make the Money and Run podcast on Vasu Vaddiparty solo act today. You can catch us on Facebook and YouTube live every Monday, Thursday, and Friday. Pass it along to your friends. Download and subscribe anywhere you miss the podcast, anywhere you miss the live broadcast. You can get that. Download and subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. Apple, Google, iHeart, Spotify, SoundCloud seem the best places to go. All right, so what does that mean in terms of Make the Money and Run? We are a wagering show. So here we are, the wagering show as we had. Let's get to the notes first. Some of the notes that took place. Fernando Tatis hurt his shoulder again. He might have surgery, and his season might be over, and that's too bad for San Diego. He's a talent. He's not a great defensive shortstop, but he's a talent. And Fernando Tatis Jr., it's sad to see him go. I saw the play. He was being over-aggressive. You'd rather have him be aggressive than not aggressive, but he's already hurt that shoulder twice. So he's got to kind of watch it a little bit. So he's out for a while. They're going to do an MRI, and they're going to see if he's going to need shoulder surgery, and if he does, he'll be out for the year. And that definitely inhibits the Padres' chances of either making the wild card or going further in the playoffs. The division's still there, but I don't know how realistic it is right now. Craig Kimbrell, we mentioned, he's used in the 8th inning. Now, Tony La Russa has a good problem to have. He's got Liam Hendricks, the former Oakland A's closer. He's got Craig Kimbrell now, the former Cubs closer. What do you do? I would have put Kimbrell in the 9th inning, but I guess you don't want to upset chemistry. And good for Craig Kimbrell, by the way. Kimbrell, a team guy, team first guy. He says, I'll pitch in the 8th inning. I don't need the numbers. I want to help a team win. The American League Central, just about a week away from being wrapped up by the White Sox. So how about that? You get Kimbrell in the 8th, Hendricks in the 9th. You just shorten the game if you're Tony La Russa. By the way, Tony La Russa in the early 80s is the one that came up with this formula of using a starting pitcher for 6 innings, and then Rick Honeycutt, Gene Nelson for an inning each, and then the great Dennis Eckersley to shut it down. And that's the way it worked situationally back in the late 80s, early 90s. And copycat league as it is, just like the NFL, that's what baseball does right now. They build backwards to the first inning. You get your closer first. The last 3 outs are always the hardest to get. And so you find a closer, you find an 8th inning guy, you find a 7th inning guy, and you go backwards. And that's what the White Sox are doing. They got Craig Kimbrell from the Chicago Cubs for a bunch of draft picks. He and Hendricks going to shut out a lot of games for the White Sox. San Francisco still has the best record in Major League Baseball. They're 66-39. They're 4 up on the Dodgers for the division. They are 3 up, actually 4 up on the Brewers in the loss column for best record in the National League. And we'll see how they go. Their depth has been outstanding. Lamont Wade Jr. has 13 home runs. Darren Ruff went 3 for 4 yesterday. He was a triple away from a cycle. The pitching's been great. Gausman struggled the last couple of starts, but Desclafini's pitched well. Only against the Dodgers, he has a tough time. Johnny Cueto has come back a little bit as far as what his stature was early in his career. He's pitching great. And Alex Wood has been outstanding for them as well as possible after coming off the struggling month he had after all the spider tack and all the substance use on the baseballs. He's adjusted, and he's pitched great. And the biggest thing that he has is he doesn't walk people. In the American League, we said Tampa Bay sweeps Boston. They're back in first. Trey Turner will go to second base. Mad Max Scherzer, the big part of the trade. I know everybody's talking about Max Scherzer, not Trey Turner, but Max Scherzer will make his debut Wednesday. He will go on Wednesday. He'll pitch for LA on his normal rest. His last start against the Phillies, game one of a doubleheader. He went 6 innings, gave up 1 run in Philadelphia. And so his next start will be on time. Max Scherzer, now Los Angeles Dodgers. All right. How does all this affect the futures and the betting lines? Well, let's get to it right now. I didn't get the American League. We'll have that on Thursday, the American League and National League Championship. But the Dodgers have inserted themselves into the favorite. These are all based, for those that know, for those that are in the wagering world, they know these are based on $100. But for those that don't know, this is all $100 base. This is what you get back. So just break it down by 100. So if you put $100 down, you get 300 back on the Dodgers. So it's 3-1. The Dodgers have moved in as the favorites at 3-1. The Houston Astros, with their offense, is unbelievable. Plus 5-1, plus 500, 5-1 odds. The White Sox, after the trade for Kimbrel and the fact that they've got a big division lead, they're now third at plus 600. Milwaukee, New York, San Diego, San Francisco, all at plus 1,100. The odds makers still think the Giants are still going to lose out to the Dodgers. They're all at plus 1,100. Boston and Tampa Bay, especially after this weekend, that American League race is going to be great in the Eastern Division right there. They're both at plus 1,200. And how about the Yankees? They're on quite a roll now. The offense is coming through. Still can't hit in the clutch, but Anthony Rizzo definitely helping them. And his defense at first is unbelievable. Those in Chicago know. Those that have seen him play for years know what kind of defensive player he is. Plus 1,800 for the Yankees. And then I want to include the Oakland A's at plus 2,000. They didn't do a lot at the trading deadline. They got Yan Gomes and Josh Harrison. They were trying to get another starting pitcher. Couldn't do that. And then the Toronto Blue Jays, excuse me for a second. Toronto Blue Jays at plus 2,500. Those bats are outstanding. Plus 2,500. So there's where you're looking at Major League Baseball in terms of the World Series odds. While I pump up the league championship odds, we'll see how the league championship odds go as I talk to you here. I'm just going to go through it right now. The Red Sox are plus 600. The White Sox plus 300, plus 900 for the Yankees, and I believe plus 225 for the Astros. So the odds makers, even though they have the White Sox third, still think the Astros, White Sox are second, so they're plus 225 to win. The White Sox are second at plus 300, and the Red Sox are plus 600. The Dodgers are plus 150. The San Francisco Giants are plus 500. Padres plus 550. The Mets are plus 500 as well. What's the status of Jacob deGrom? The Milwaukee Brewers plus 475, and everybody else goes up from there. So those are the numbers that we have for the futures odds, and that's how it will affect how these trades and the trading deadline. Remember, 114 players were traded. All 30 teams were involved. An unheard of draft day. I finally was able to come up from air on Sunday. Thank God there was a beach near me. I was able to watch, and yet the Tampa Bay Rays and Boston Red Sox were still on Sunday Night Baseball, so couldn't get totally out of it as well, too. All right, Vasu Vaddiparty here with the Make the Money and Run podcast for Monday, August 2nd, 2021. Charlie O on assignment. Thank you to everybody on Facebook. Lori says, can I borrow $100? Phil Joyner wants $100 too. You got to tell me who you want, Lori, before I decide to loan anybody any money. $100 to you and Phil Joyner. Love you guys, but we'll have to see who you guys pick. If they're not my team, then I can't help you there with that. Anyway, thanks to everybody on Facebook and YouTube Live. If you miss any of it, including the pick segment that we're going to get to after this break, you can download, subscribe anywhere you find that logo up there in the right-hand corner. The Make the Money and Run podcast, very successful on Apple, iCloud, Apple, YouTube, Apple, iHeart, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Podcasts as well too. YouTube and Facebook Live is where we are every Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So I'm sure Charlie will have an opinion on the trading deadline and everything like that as well. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk a little college football and then the world-famous yet unsponsored pick segment to close out this edition of the Make the Money and Run podcast. I'm Vasu Vaddiparty, back in 30 seconds with the Make the Money and Run podcast. Welcome back. Vasu Vaddiparty here with the Make the Money and Run podcast, final segment of the show. By the way, an update on that baseball game going on in Canada. How you doing, Rogers Center? 15 to 20,000 fans. It's on MLB Network in case you had a chance to catch it. It's good to see baseball back at the Rogers Center in Toronto. It's a fun place to watch baseball, but they are socially distanced. I believe they're masked up. 20,000 fans, the capacity for the Toronto Blue Jays and Cleveland Indians. I know they didn't have Canada today, the usual Toronto Blue Jays game on July 1st. So on August 2nd, they decided to have the game. Toronto-Cleveland. No score middle of the second inning. Not good for my over, but a lot of baseball to go. Eli Morgan, a 7.5 ERA. Robbie Ray, the all-star for the Toronto Blue Jays. You can catch us every Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays, live on Facebook and live on YouTube. There are the times right there. And then, of course, on the West Coast as well, too. You can download, subscribe, rate, and review anywhere you get your podcasts. Of course, we're on social media on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Those are the addresses on Facebook and Instagram as well. The email address is there at mtmarpodcast@gmail.com. Charlie and I have Facebook pages, Instagram pages, and then you can also find the Make the Money and Run Facebook page as well, too. All right, one college football note to talk about. The powers that be, meaning the SEC, have included two more teams. They voted unanimously to include the University of Texas and the University of Oklahoma from the Big 12. Longtime Big 12 foes are going to go to the SEC. The SEC voted 14-0 to include Texas and Oklahoma into what is becoming not only a power conference, but a super power conference to the nth power, to the millionth power. Who's going to compete with the SEC? Who's going to win in that conference? Alabama is still the best team in that conference. Alabama and Georgia still the two best teams in the conference, but the effect of the NILs, the names, images, and likenesses that's going on in college football, where kids are going to be able to make money for their college, which I'm fine with. If you're in college, everybody works part-time. People need money. Granted, some of the money, it's a little off balance from the millions that some are getting. Bryce Young, the quarterback at Alabama, getting nearly $1 million in endorsements. He hasn't even taken a snap yet. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen in basketball too. But if you're in the SEC and you see what's going on and you want to recruit kids, if you're Mark Stoops at Kentucky or you're any of the coaches in the SEC, Dan Mullen at Florida, you see what's going on with the inclusion of the two schools. It's a good recruiting tool. Hey, these kids are coming in. You're better than these kids. You can get your name and image out there. It's part of the recruiting tool. Who are they going to play? All the other conferences are calling teams to try and increase their power hold. I know the Pac-12 is not making any calls outwardly, but they are going to take calls inwardly if anybody calls like a Boise State, like somebody like that. And then, of course, the Big Ten, Iowa State, there's rumors of them going from the Big 12 to the Big Ten as well, too. Matt Campbell, a really good coach. The Big Ten, one of the top conferences. But right now, the SEC is the king of the court, the leader in the clubhouse. I'm not sure how that's going to affect. Obviously, the winning and losing will dictate itself, but you've got to be able to compete a little bit. But, boy, everybody going into the SEC right now, I'm not sure how this is going to work out. And college football has increased the playoff system from the Final Four to the Final 12. So I guess, I don't know, is this going to devalue the regular season? Hopefully we'll get some college football guys on later on. I'm incorporating, trying to get some college football analysts, college football announcers on with us over the next few weeks before the season starts. So if you're out there and you're watching me, you know who you are, some of you announcers and some of you analysts out there. Please feel free to reach out, and I'll do the same as well, too. But Texas, Oklahoma, unanimously voted in. We'll see how this affects the names and images and likenesses, the NIL, for the players that are coming in. It's going to be interesting, and we'll see how it goes. All right, we move on to the world-famous yet unsponsored pick segment of the day, of Saturday. So I don't have them typed down, but I've already told you the Indians and Blue Jays, I have over 9. I'm going to go with the San Francisco Giants at the Arizona Diamondbacks. They're 190. They're 190 on the betting line right now. The Giants at minus 195 against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Taylor Widener's had a rough start to his career. Giants on a roll right now, 2 out of 3 out of Houston. So I'm going to take the San Francisco Giants. The Philadelphia Phillies and the Washington Nationals. Ranger Suarez coming out of the bullpen. Josiah Gray pitching for the Nationals. He was part of the Max Scherzer Trey Turner trade. I'm going to go over 8.5. Has anybody been to Washington, D.C. in the summer? It is humid. It is hot. Runs are going to be aplenty. The pitching's not great for Washington once you get past the starters. And even Gray, brand new there with the team, don't know what he's got starter capability. The Phillies bullpen has been up in shambles. They've increased it a little bit. with the trading deadline last week. Ranger Suarez, who was closing games, is now the starter for them. So those are the two National League games I'm going to go with. I've already given you the Rays and Indians over 9. The Baltimore Orioles, Andrew Heaney, I'm not a fan of him. I'm going to take the over 10 between the Yankees and the Orioles. Orioles pitching staff has been horrible. They usually give up a ton of runs. The Yankees swinging the bats well. They just came off a sweep at Miami. Miami pitching really good, and that the Yankees didn't have a DH, and so that's why they were able to hold the Yankees offense down a little bit as well too. So those are the games I've got today. I've got the over in the Orioles and Yankees. I've got the over in the Blue Jays and Indians. I've got the over in the Nationals and Phillies, and I've got the San Francisco Giants at minus 195 tonight. So a lot of totals going into it. No score at the end of 2 between the Cleveland Indians and the Toronto Blue Jays. A day game in Toronto. Top of the 3rd inning coming up. Robbie Ray and Eli Morgan, who's got a 7.5 ERA. Can't believe they haven't scored any runs yet, but we'll see how that game goes on. All right. We'll be back on Thursday afternoon, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on Facebook and YouTube Live. If you miss any of the podcast, please download and subscribe anywhere you get your podcast, Apple, Google, iHeart, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Send us any comments. Send us any notes you want. Send us any criticisms, any praise you want to send to us. We're always welcome to it. If you want us to talk about teams, if you want us to talk about issues that are out there, lots of things going on in Major League Baseball. College football is 3 weeks away. The NFL training camps have started. Preseason games will go in 2 weeks. I think the preseason Hall of Fame weekend is this Sunday as well, too. Somebody can help me with that. I believe that's Sunday night, and the ceremonies will be Saturday night. I'm sure the NFL Network and ESPN will carry that as well, too. Thanks to the MLB Network for the stats that we use today. Thanks to every one of you on Facebook and YouTube Live. Thanks to you for downloading. We appreciate everybody's support, everybody's interest in it. I'm Vasu Vaddiparty. This is the Make the Money and Run podcast for Monday, August 2nd, 2021. Have a great afternoon. Have a great week. We'll see you on Thursday. And as always, good luck to you and your games. Have a great afternoon.